This is my new vlog here on Miniwargaming. For those of you who haven't seen any of my videos yet in the vault, I'm Austin. I do commission painting under the name or company name, I guess. It's not really an official company yet, but Brush for Hire. So you may have seen me on YouTube previously, but for those of you who don't know anything about me, I wanted to take this first episode and really start talking to you guys about I guess what I do and some of the projects I'm working on right now. I thought while we were chatting I'd just go ahead and put together some of these mantic skeletons that I picked up recently. They had this really killer deal where they were doing a sort of a mystery grab bag of stuff, and I managed to make out like a bandit with a whole bunch of skeleton stuff. I'm working on an undead army right now, or it's actually not undead like the Mantic, whatever their game is, Kings of War. So it's not for that. I'm actually doing a Vampire Counts army, which is growing way too quickly. And I'm sure that many of you have had that experience before. Start working on something, you pick up one of this, one of that. It ends up being enormous very quickly. But anyway, I've been doing commission painting for a little while now, and it's been cool, but it can get really overwhelming quickly. And I've actually been working with one of the guys in my local gaming group who's going to try and give me a hand with some of this stuff coming up here soon. Hopefully that all works out well and he does not get super overwhelmed to the point of being frustrated. Yeah, you really gotta have the right mentality to do commission painting. It's a lot of stress and lots of customer service, but I also wanted to say, if you guys have any questions for me, post them in the comments here. I read and try to respond to every comment I get on the other videos in the vault. Now I know these are going to the free for everybody section, so if we get 1,000 comments, I may not be able to read all of them or answer all the questions, but I'd like to sort of start a chain, which seems to be the trend with a lot of the Miniwargaming crew here, which is answer questions from the previous video. So if you guys have questions for me, if you've seen some of the stuff I've done, you've had questions but didn't want to speak up, or if you've never seen any of my stuff before and you just want to know a little bit more about me or any of the stuff that I've been working on, I'm going to try to show you guys a couple of the projects I've been doing closer to the end of this. I really have no concept of how long this is going to go, so who knows, it could be another 10 minutes, it could be an hour long. I'm sure you'll have a better idea of how long this is when you're watching it, because you can just look at the bottom and see how long it is. Oh, the magic of the internet. So outside of gaming and hobby stuff, I'm actually an IT professional. I do Citrix administration. If you don't know what that is, it's application and operating system virtualization. Not nearly as fun and exciting as painting minis, though. I've been painting for a long time now, and it's just been a passion of mine. Some of my early stuff, boy, I moved in the last couple of years and found some of it, and I was pretty proud of it at the beginning. I was like, oh, this is really good, it's turned out really well. And then you start looking back at it as you get a little better, and the further and further down the line you get, it's like looking back at some of those scribbles you did in elementary school, and you're like, oh, this was a masterpiece when I did it, and now I'm looking back at it. I guess that's one of the fun parts of retrospect, always being able to look back with new appreciation for new talents that have matured over time. But yeah. So anyway, task at hand here, just clipping out all of the legs and upper torsos of these. Gotta say, I talked about these on my YouTube channel here recently, and one of my main dislikes for this particular kit is definitely the heads. They're a little weird. They decided that they were gonna make all the skulls like they were faces and not like they were skulls. Like Games Workshop skull is just it's a skull. But Mantic decided that skulls should be more emotive, and they made them have angry eyebrows and things, which, yeah, really? I guess they're magic skulls because they can move. But, yeah, I've actually sort of halfway remedied that issue by rummaging up a handful of Games Workshop skulls from a friend. So I've got some that I can work with here. Hopefully they will fit and work the way I want them to, but probably need a little bit of modification. Oop. So I'm also I just sort of got onto this really crazy kick of Warhammer Fantasy stuff recently. The games that I'm most into are definitely War Machine and Hordes, and I played 40K for like, feels like a million years. I've been playing 40K, actually not that long. I've only been playing 40K for 8 years? I guess that is a long time. 8 years is a long time to be playing any one game. I've seen a few editions come and go, but not nearly as long as some of the guys at my local shop. They're super veterans from ye old days of Rogue Trader. I do have some cool old Rogue Trader stuff that I managed to acquire off of some of these guys. That's trying to clear some of the old stuff out and get some new stuff in. I got some of the old Rogue Trader Land Raiders, and they look very different, but apparently that sort of look is coming back. I mean, everybody's all about the pre-heresy stuff, so it's you know, really cool to have the retro tanks now. But granted, all the new super cool Forge World ones that have a lot of the aspects of the old retro tanks, they've got all kinds of upgraded gear on them. They don't look as clunky and weird, but they do have a lot of the same, I guess, body style stuff from the old ones. So it, you know, you get a flavor for the old retro stuff, or a flavor of the old retro stuff, just not as clunky and weird and as poorly manufactured as the old ones used to be. The old plastic used to be so brittle. You just sneeze on it and it snaps in half. Not to mention the guy that I got it from. Boy, I don't know what he glued it together with, but it was just awful. It was just caked on there. I had to run it through the degreaser stuff, like, feels like a dozen times before it loosened everything up off of it. Some of it I just had to, you know, take a putty knife to try and scrape it down. But yeah, I don't know. Some people don't care or take the time to refurbish models. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do, is take something old and useless and ready to be thrown in the trash and just try to breathe new life into it and make something cool and new out of it. I've been working on a super corroded Chaos Space Marine list. I've got a bunch of Marines. My younger brother, he used to play with me back when he was in middle school and high school, and he sort of grew out of the hobby, and recently he dug up his old stuff and gave it to me. It's really not all that old either. I mean, it's some of the kits that he was building from are actually still the current kits on the shelf, which is pretty cool. I'm trying to use that as sort of a studio army. If I get it up to the finishing point and it looks good enough, I might try and sell it. But I don't know. We haven't gotten there yet. I keep acquiring more chaos stuff. I got a defiler recently. It was on sale at a local shop. I ended up picking it up, and I've got it most of the way put together. I modded out a second magnetized close combat weapon just because it comes with one in the box, and I thought it would be pretty cool to have that. I'm not really sure about the Tactica on that. I know that that Dave's got some good Tactica videos with that, and I need to review that before I make any final decisions, but I tend not to make any final decisions. I just go for magnetizing everything so that if I want to change it up later, I can. If it ends up being sold, it's not, a negative like penalty, like somebody says, "Oh no, why would you take that Reaper autocannon? It's the worst thing ever." I don't know. I haven't played Chaos in forever. I can read stat lines and understand them, but boy, these models really don't have that much flash on them. Oh boy. After all the stuff with Dark Potential, and I'm not as informed as the rest of the Miniwargaming crew is, I'm sure, on the progress and all of the trials and tribulations that were had with doing the research to find out how much making the models for Dark Potential is going to be. But I did my own research some time ago about how much it actually costs to make a nice plastic sprue of minis like this, and it's really surprisingly high. I can't remember the exact figures, but it was just staggering how much it actually costs to do that, which gives me great appreciation for I guess the risk that some of these companies like Mantic take to get this stuff pressed into plastic. Plastic injection process is very expensive to get started with. I'm sure that Matt or Dave could be more specific here. Like I said, I'm not as knowledgeable on the current finances of that type of stuff, but I seem to recall it being just like thousands and thousands of dollars to have one of these things made, like in the tens of thousands, just for a simple like single sprue like this. It was just crazy. So like I said, you just sort of start to get an idea of what it costs just to get started with a lot of this stuff, and why most of your small-time companies like or small-time games, I can't remember the name of the company that makes Dark Age, but yeah, they're all in pewter, and there's sort of like a hierarchy where you tend to start out in pewter because it's not outrageously expensive to make the molds, and if you ever miscast anything, you just chuck the pewter back into the pot and let it melt again. But with resin, and I've had my share of experience with resin, which is just nasty stuff, by the way, trying to get it to do what you want all the time is it's not always easy. Not to mention, that'd help you get it on your skin. It's just so sticky and gross, and it never wants to let go. I'm sure it's just terrible for you health wise, but that's sort of like the next step so far as I understand. You use a lot of the same technology doing the molds for that. I mean, you get vulcanized rubber for the pewter ones, but then you get silicone, or sometimes I think people use alginate molds for resin casting sometimes. Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't remember that one specifically. I've never used it before, so I can't really say I've got experience with alginate molds, but yeah, I've just sort of I guess seen techniques here and there throughout my hobby career, and just taking the plunge each time, trying to figure out how to master those and how to use them for miniature gaming stuff. I've got just boatloads of sort of dead-end projects that I started on my own, just trying to figure out how to work on something, I pick up the technique and take that from it, but then the actual project itself never quite gets done because I want to move on to something else to learn a new technique or some new piece of technology or a new tool. Yeah. Oh boy. So there's quite a few rumors flying around right now about the newest edition of 40K. It looks like it's going to be hitting the shelves, I guess, sometime soon. I really don't know what the time frame looks like on those. I know that they pulled the 5th edition books here recently and said that the stores weren't going to be able to get any more copies of it, not to order anymore. I don't know if they've actually pulled the is it Black Reach set? Is that the current? I think that's the current box. But I'm sure that'll be coming soon. Really interested to see what comes in the new 6th edition box. I keep hearing all these rumors about Dark Angels, and I don't know what the other one was, but that the Dark Angels were going to have some sort of Deathwing. It was basically going to be Deathwing stuff, so just Terminators, and actually having some sort of character in the box with them. This is all just wild speculation, I think. But if you guys know what's going on with it, put a comment in there. Let me know what you know. I've also heard some rumors about some of the rules, updates, and changes that are going to happen. One of which, there's a lot of controversy over, at least in my gaming group, the notion of pre-measuring, just wide open pre-measuring. I mean, some other games like War Machine, you can't pre-measure everything, but you do kind of have a way to cheat it a little bit. You can get in with your Warcaster, and you can always measure your Warcaster's control area, which is twice one of his stats in inches. So a lot of casters will have six focus or 7 or something. So you'd have a 12-inch control area or a 14-inch control area. So that means you can always measure that distance away from him, and you can kind of help guess your ranges. But it's not quite the same. Now, one game I did pick up recently that is just wide open, pre-measure whatever you want, is Dust Warfare. You guys might have seen something about that at Adepticon. I was there this year, and man, that game just looked super cool. I ended up picking up a small army there, just a couple of boxes of stuff. Got back, played a few games. I'm not going to say it's the perfect game system. I've got some complaints about it, and the fact that some of it doesn't seem very intuitive. But if you can get past the stuff that is just, the normal, well, we got to make a rule about this, so it's not going to make sense for this situation or this situation, but for all the rest of it, I think it'll probably be okay. It's one of those where you just sort of have to take the bad with the good, but the aesthetic of the game is just so cool, and it's not the first one to do it, but man, if it's not still just really spot on. It's alternate timeline, 1947. I think there's some crossover, I guess, with the staff between AT-43 and Dust. There's a lot of similarities there. You've got 1947 rolls around and World War II still going on, and it's because the Axis, and I may be misremembering my fluff here, I'm pretty sure this is the way it went, the war's still on, the Axis went to Antarctica and found alien technology from a downed UFO that had been buried there for forever, and they use this technology to get the upper hand and more or less avoid being defeated when the history books said they were. And so you get all of this cool new technology mixed with a lot of the World War II flavor. So you get war walkers and things like that. They've got all kinds of bipedal walkers, and they've got the giant heavies that are the quadrupedal, or the six-legged allied walker with the double howitzers. It's like I've got just enough interest in history and World War II for that little seed, that little nugget of flavor to catch me and say, you know what, that could be a pretty cool game. As long as the mechanics aren't just horrible and broken, the aesthetic and concept is pretty cool. And it's made by Fantasy Flight, so I've got perhaps an unnatural amount of faith in that company. They make some of the most fantastically well-designed board games, and I've got faith that this is going to be a pretty cool game. So I picked up some more stuff after the con, but yeah, it's been fun. We've had to sort of tease out a few of the problem rules as we've gone along, but it's been pretty cool. I've also been playing a few other board games, one of which, I picked it up, or one of my friends picked it up, and we started playing it, and I was like, this really feels like a minis game. Like, it's got a lot more, it feels more on rails, where you don't have like free open range of movement, and in fact there's not even any minis in it. It's actually a card game, but you move the cards around the board almost like they are minis. And then we went to go look at the some of the stuff from the creator, and he actually had wanted to make a minis game, but then realized, whoa, it's really, really expensive to make a minis game. So he made a board game instead that uses cards sort of in the place of minis, and it was fun. It was very fast too. I think I may have just said all that and forgotten to say the name of the game in question here. It's Summoner Wars, and I think it's relatively new. One of the guys in my group, and in fact the same one that I'm trying to rope into helping me paint minis, he's just always on top of what's new as far as new board games, new war games. Our group is strangely trendy. We end up, we see a new game, we think it looks cool, we end up getting really into it for a little while, but we've got our standard couple of games that we're just always playing. War Machine and both of the Warhammers are typically our bread and butter, but we'll, dive out and do, a good 3 or 4 weeks of some other game, really get into it, learn the rules, and say, okay, well, that's cool. And that's kind of on the back burner for, if we get tired or burnt out on something. Like a lot of times when all of us go to a convention or something, or a tournament, we will have played, I don't know, dozens of games in the weeks leading up to it, just trying to hammer those tactics into our heads so that it's just second nature when we get to the con. We're not sitting there thinking, oh, well, in this situation, should I do this? Should I move this way? Should I cast this spell? Should I feat now? Should I wait for this? Should I get him into position first? And especially when you're playing timed turns, that kind of stuff will kill you. It's like, it's not that I did very well at Adepticon for the War Machine stuff, but there was one game where I had the game dialed in, it was done, it was over, but I ran out of time, and that was it. It was literally, I was about to make the roll that could have won the game for me, and the buzzer sounded and I couldn't make the roll. So it was frustrating, but those are the breaks. You just got to work a little quicker. So yeah, Adepticon this year, quite fun. Ran into a couple of people that I've seen from their vlogs or websites or battle reports and things that they've done. Actually ran into Sean from Blue Table Painting, which was pretty cool. I've been watching his stuff for a very long time, and it was really cool and kind of intimidating to see him in person. He's really, you don't get it from the videos, but he's really tall. I didn't realize quite how tall he was. I'm not a particularly short person. I'm just about 6 feet tall, and he was I don't even know, but he was taller than me. Tall enough for me to be like, wow, that's a tall guy. I guess it's because he's always holding the camera most of the time on his videos. You don't have a frame of reference. You kind of see his head and shoulders floating, and then a background of whatever it is that he's standing in front of. But yeah, I don't want to, I guess, wear out my welcome on the first video, but I thought I'd just chat about some of the things I was thinking about and sort of give myself an introduction. I think I'll probably wrap it up here and keep on working on these skeletons. But like I promised, I think I'll show you guys a couple of things I've been working on here recently that haven't made it onto the Miniwargaming site or just aren't complete yet. So, I think I mentioned earlier, and I've just got the skin done now, and I've been doing a lot of that with the airbrush, just trying to get nice, smooth textures here. I wanted to make him look really nasty and have these sort of undulating tones there to make it look really rotted and nasty. I didn't really realize until I started painting this thing just how much detail was in this. I mean, there's all kinds of little rats and stuff crawling all over the back here. There's tons of these scarification tattoos. This thing is just covered in detail, and it's been a blast to paint so far, but it's going to take a little while. And here's the Throne of Everblight from Hordes, or War Machine, and just got the basic colors down on him now. Got a lot of the shading on the flesh done. I've actually magnetized this so that it comes apart so you can actually transport the thing without having to have, you know, a gigantic duffel bag for the thing. But yeah, I won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but I'll give it a once around here. Got a few more things to do on the top, but this type of stuff, once again, big models, airbrushes is king. You can get a lot of work done very quickly and efficiently, but you've got some other techniques that you can use to just use a traditional brush for that type of stuff. Here's some zombies that I did. This is just really quick horde painting here. These are not intended to be viewed as individual models, but just part of the collective here. I just did some really fast airbrushing on these to get basic colors down on the skin and then on the cloth. They did some heavy washing and then a sort of a blood spray effect to try and make them look grimy and maybe like they've either been attacked or are attacking stuff on the battlefield. And then I've also got these guys here, which I can't really turn up at that angle because I haven't got them magnetized down yet. These are some ghouls, and these are also just super fast horde painting techniques. And yeah, I've been enjoying doing some of the sort of mid-quality fast airbrush work. Is just really helping, partly just to get this undead army finished up in a reasonable amount of time, so I'm not pulling my hair out trying to paint a million models till the end of time. But it's also cool to sort of push it to the limits and see what can be done, how fast you can do it. And I also sort of figured out this new movement tray idea. I'm sure other people are doing it, and I just sort of caught on late here, but I put a magnet in the base of this thing here, and I've got some of that sticky back magnetic strip stuff just tacked down onto a movement tray, like a Games Workshop movement tray, and I don't even have to have the rim around it, so it's really cool to just have those out there on the field and not even really, you don't have any visual obstructions. I guess around all of your models. I always thought that, you know, it's necessary to have them there, but they kind of look not tacky, but just awkward. Plus, if they don't match the terrain underneath, I just think they stand out and look weird. Anyway, I'll leave it at that, and I will see you next time. And make sure to leave me some comments, ask some questions. I'll be happy to talk about whatever, answer questions. And we will see you in the next video. Thanks, and happy wargaming.